What's up, everybody? This is Phil Rogacki.
And I'm Jared Abergina.
You're listening to Two Tree Guys Podcast. What's up, everybody? Phil Rogacki here with another episode of Two Tree Guys here in North Carolina, sitting with my man, Eric Palacio, co-host. What's up, Eric? Yep. And also we're sitting with the grand champion. I don't know if that was the title.
He's the grand
the world
champion of all.
the grand champion, Mr. Jeff Inman, who won ArborFest 2022 competition.
Everyone's cheering here.
Yeah.
Oh man. So before we get started on the show and hearing the story of yourself, Jeff, pay the fee, people. You like the episode, you love it, send it, copy it, send it to your mom, send it to your grandma, put it on Facebook, Instagram, all your social media. And if you don't like it, don't share it because we don't want to remember this episode if it sucks. But for some reason, it's not going to suck, right, Jeff?
That's right. It's not going to suck.
Right.
This is the first time
It's
I ever
not
met
going to suck
Jeff.
for me. Yeah.
Oh man! So for that, welcome, man. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're a veteran on podcasts, huh?
I've been on
Which podcast?
climbingarborist.com.
Oh, shit.
Oh yeah, spray me with the
Yeah,
beer.
cheers.
All right.
Yeah.
That's how we get the party started.
Expo's winding down.
For the guy who doesn't drink beer with the beer.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. That's the story of my life.
Yeah, they're like,
yeah.
wow, you been drinking tonight,
Yeah.
Jeff? You're like,
Yeah.
no, I was on a podcast.
I promise.
Oh, man. So, having you on here, hearing your story, like I was telling you a little bit ago, that everybody has a story,
Yeah.
and unique story, like no other story, So I've got to hear Eric's story many times.
Yeah.
We had a great time in California on the podcast, but being here and hearing your story, how you got in this industry and where you're from.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Virginia. I grew up on the coast, so close to Virginia Beach, pretty big touristy spot on the East Coast. But I went to Virginia Tech. I've started running.
With Rudy?
Yeah. Well, no,
Did you
we
know-
didn't. I didn't know Rudy at
Then-
Tech. I actually met Rudy here in 2019, and that's when we.
at the first ArborFest.
Yeah, and that's when
Yeah.
we were like, oh yeah, we're Hokies. What's
Woo!
up? Yeah. So
Is
that's
he
a
older?
cool
You,
connection.
you're older.
I'm older.
You're
Yeah,
older.
yeah.
Okay. Cool.
But I started rock climbing when I was 16 with the Scouts, and I always grew up playing sports. My dad was a Division I basketball player. Tried out, went to spring training for the Florida Marlins. So athleticism is huge in our family. Both my younger brothers are.
You went for the Florida Marlins.
No, my dad.
Oh, your dad.
Yeah.
Okay,
Who's
cool.
also named Jeff Inman. Yeah, I'm the junior. Yeah.
Junior,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
second.
Yeah, so coming up in his shadow was fun.
Big
in
shoes
the
to fill.
hometown. Yeah. But not being overly gifted. I mean, I'm a decent enough athlete with traditional sports, enough to hold my own, but not
Oh yeah.
not like dad.
Yeah.
I was
Was
joking.
your grandpa in sports?
Both of them were. Yeah. My Frank Beamer, the football coach for Virginia Tech. His first coaching position was with underneath my grandfather.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, neat,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. So sports run deep in our household. So
Cool.
I always make the joke that the traditional athletic gene skipped over me and went straight to my two younger brothers.
Hey, you're the grand champion.
Well,
of
so-
ArborFest
know,
so
I
this
was
is what I mean.
gonna say,
In
2022.
traditional sports,
Yeah.
right? So my middle brother played Division III baseball. My youngest brother, who's actually an arborist now, is a contract
good.
climber. But he was
He
all
works
state.
with you guys.
No, well,
Oh,
he
no, he's a
contracts
contract
with us.
climber. He contracts with you
Yeah. But he was all state for cross country. So these traditional sports, my brothers excelled at, and I was always just all right. I didn't make the sports teams.
Oh my God, you're
yeah.
the regular kid in your family? That's crazy.
In that way, right?
That's
And then,
crazy.
but then I discovered climbing, and I was like, oh, this is my shit. This
I'm gonna show
Yeah.
my brothers.
Yeah.
Dude, we've been having a whole round of psychology with people today too.
Uh-huh.
People have
Yeah.
trying to get back at their family
Yeah.
right now.
Well, I don't know if it's get back at your
No,
family,
we're
but
busy.
you grow. Well, for me, I grew up in this small town where everybody knows who my dad is.
Yeah.
They know, they would see Jeff Inman on a roster and think it's my dad, and I'm
yeah.
okay, all right, well, I'm not as good as him.
Yeah.
So anyway, I find rock climbing. I eventually go to Virginia Tech to study natural resources.
Mm-hmm.
And my last year is when I found out that arboriculture was a thing. One of our labs, we actually like climb trees.
Gotcha.
And I was like, oh wow, you can make a living out of this? This is
Yeah.
rad.
You
Like
found that out in your last year?
my last year. Yeah.
And what was your major again?
Natural resources conservation. So it was all geared towards essentially trying to be a park ranger, right?
Mhm.
So being a rock climber.
You're like,
Well,
I'm
no.
good with it. My brothers are better than me and
Yeah.
everything else.
Well, no,
Like,
I knew I wanted to be outside.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
really my like goal was to try to wind up with some role at Yosemite and
Yeah.
just be a
Oh.
climbing bum in Yosemite.
yeah, a dirt
Gotcha.
bag.
Right. Oh,
Proper
100% wanted to be a dirtbag climber. But at the same time, like the pragmatic side of me is like, well, eventually I want to have a family. Eventually I am going to have to pay back these student loans. I'm going to
Yeah.
have to pay bills. Like, so dirtbagging probably isn't going to be the
Yeah.
best option.
My wife's not gonna want to live in a cave in Yosemite.
Right.
pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though that'd be rad. Yeah. That'd be super
Totally.
rad.
That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Totally.
Yeah. So like I said, I discovered arboriculture in my last year, and I just fell in love with it. The moment, like one of my good buddies that graduated a year ahead of me, went to work for Bartlett up in Annapolis, Maryland, brought his tree climbing kit back for a football game, took me to the president's front yard, and I 85-foot just open air hip thrust on a Blake's hitch up into the top
The
of
president of Bartlett?
Huh?
The president of Bartlett? Or
No. The president of the university.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. We went into his front yard and climbed this black oak, like humping 80 feet up into the air.
Was that the moment?
That
where
was
you-
the moment. Yeah, I got up there and like the whole time, I'm like, this is awesome. This is so cool. Like, I got up, did a big limb walk.
Have you
Like,
climbed that tree since?
I haven't because they didn't like the fact that we climbed that tree. They're like, what the hell are you doing? Get down. They're like,
How long ago was this?
this was 2011.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You need to go back and just climb it. Just
Oh, well,
for-
so that's the funny thing is now I, like in 2 weeks, I'm going back. So now the
You guys
urban
got a
forestry.
contract there? Or what?
Well, no, the urban forestry professor brings me back in to help with their tree climbing labs twice a
Awesome.
year.
Awesome.
So now it kind of has come full circle in that way. So now I get to go back and help,
That's neat.
you know, the old me try to find their way into this industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's way cool. Well, you know the academies in California, and I mean the guys would love to have you out there as well. And,
Yeah.
You know, come hang out.
Yeah,
and
hell
stuff
yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come teach the class.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
We'll take you to Yosemite. We're not far.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, we'll
Hell
take
yeah.
you to cool spots to climb.
Oh, yeah.
We won't climb with you,
Yeah,
but we
yeah,
will
yeah.
definitely record you. and
Yeah,
take some
great.
pictures.
Yeah, you're going to be like, all right, here you go, Honnold. Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, get
that's-
after it. Yeah.
So after climbing, what was the next step that you went for in this career? I mean, how'd you get in?
So,
Your
I
friend
met-
from Bartlett? Did he?
well, kind of. So after I graduated, I met my now wife. We're doing a rock climbing certification for the Boy Scouts because we were working at different scout camps,
Yeah.
teaching rock climbing programs.
Gotcha.
So in a way, I was like, well, I might have met the woman that'll live in a cave with me in Dirtbag. And I was like, all right, let's maybe try this. Like, so we tried to basically be rock climbing bums until we were like, all right, these bills aren't going to pay themselves.
Yeah.
So that's when I hit up Bartlett because that was
Yeah.
I thought that's what tree work was you just graduated and then you went right into Bartlett. So that's what I did. I moved to Northern Virginia, started working for Bartlett, and actually I spent 6 years with Bartlett in different parts of
Nice.
Virginia, and got to travel around doing storm cleanups, but also I got to help with the creation of their SRS program that they have.
You taught a lot of people there, helped out a lot.
Yeah,
They're-
yeah, I got-
they have a great program where they bring people on H-2B visas.
Oh yeah.
And they work.
Oh,
you
yeah.
probably taught a lot of those people
Yeah, I
from
got-
Mexico,
I got-
Phil.
Yeah.
Like the H-2B visas and the Virginia, they hit Virginia hard. Like
Yep.
a lot of those recruits from Mexico go in
So-
there. So
Interesting.
you helped
The
a lot of
the
people
guys
out,
that
man.
taught me how to climb on spikes were on that H2B program.
You know
We-
Danny?
Dan,
in
no, I don't know
Veracruz?
Dan.
He's the one that runs the program in Mexico.
Oh, okay.
Danny?
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
yes, Dandy. Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool, man.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. No, I was like 3 months into Bartlett, and we went to respond to a tornado down in Hampton, and it was me and the two of the H2B guys, and it was this beat up Magnolia, and they were like, all right, throw on the spikes, get up there. Yeah, ondale, come on. Cut it.
So
it was cool.
Who was the one that kind of a mentor in your life to kind of push you ahead or give you some direction?
In the arboriculture industry, like who was that person that was like, oh, because of this person, I'm staying here, and I have found what I really want to do. I mean,
in arboriculture specifically, his name is Rob Springer. So he's the Division 4 Safety and Training Coordinator for Bartlett. He was the one that he's 60 something now, but he's had this position and has this disposition of, one, you can tell he's stoked on climbing, even though it's in a more like traditional old school way. But he just has this even keel way of communicating and teaching. Was always super supportive, always looking for ways to like include me in on things, because he could tell that I was super stoked on climbing trees and trying to figure out the best way I could advance. Like I just was always hungry to just be better. I just always wanted to be a better climber. He recognized that and then tried to feed that as much as he possibly could inside that large organization, which is not, as I was there longer, I realized is not always the easiest thing to do.
Absolutely.
So I've just always carried a tremendous amount of respect for Rob because of how he did that.
What were the things you were showing that you were hungry? How do you know that you were hungry?
I never said no. Like if they, like, I distinctly remember this, the largest tulip poplar I was ever sent to go and cut down. It was like a 130-foot tall tulip poplar in a backyard with a tiny drop zone, had a 120-foot crown spread. And they're like, and I'm like 6 months in, and they're like, Jeff, do you want to get up there? I'm like, hell yeah, I want to get up there. I'm scared. But I want to get up there and at least try. And it was that kind of thing of like that gumption, that grit, that like willingness to step into those situations that were uncomfortable, but still wanted to see.
And he kept giving you more and more and more.
Yeah, like give it to me, and then like recognize when I was over my head, and then be like, all right, come down. All right, and then we're gonna send somebody else back up and finish it. But then instead of just leaving it at that, taking the time to then process that with me.
He would explain to you, look, we're gonna get you down because this guy does this a little bit better.
Well, but it's all like in that specific example, the tulip poplar, he was like, well, Jeff, I can tell you've been doing a lot of rope climbing and not a lot of spur climbing. Like, you're trying to prune this tree, you're not trying to remove this tree. Like, these are the, this is how you increase the efficiency in this way. And these
gotta get this thing down.
Right. Yeah. Like, stop leaving stubs when you cut these limbs off. Like, make one cut. Like, that's it. Like, these, like, very easily digestible, like, points on how to improve quickly.
Yeah.
Are you still in contact with him today?
Yes. Yeah. So now that I have the position I do at True Timber, it's funny, like, we're more on the peer stat, even though I still see him as like this big idol in my life. I'll reach out to him with like specific like safety related like regulation type questions, but then he'll at times reach out to me about like, so what do y'all do about climbing with these mechanical devices? Like how do y'all handle that as a company? So it's a cool relationship that's grown over the last 10 years.
Well, let's talk about the position that your peers now. What's your position at True Timber Arborist?
So I'm the risk manager and the academy director. So the risk manager is what most companies would call a safety and training coordinator.
I told you they had really cool names for all their positions. It's a true designation too now. Like what you're doing for the industry, like putting the proper name to it is it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome because it professionalizes the industry, It was like, it went from safety guy to a safety trainer and stuff like that. So now you're doing that, like, it might not seem like, I know I was joking about it earlier, but it's honestly, like, I want to say thanks because it there's little things that are done that people think that like you got to come up with the climbingest like coolest innovation for you to be cool. Like no,
Right.
like giving something the proper professional name, giving someone the proper designation is professionalizing this industry.
Oh yeah,
So,
big time,
Yeah,
big time.
kudos
No,
to
I mean
you for
because
that, bro.
as a company, we like really, right? We believe words matter, which is why we title things the way that we do. And we're like, all right, well, let's look at the word safe. Like, it's not a real word.
Yeah.
Like, if you
Be
think
safe.
if you think
What-
about
what
what
is-
we
what
do,
is that?
yeah, like our anchor points aren't rated. Like, the training we go through to be able to go buy equipment like is minimal at best, right? So
Yeah.
to like say go work safe is like, well, no, like what we're doing is we're managing risk day in and day out,
Oh,
right?
wow.
And we rely on the training that we've acquired, these different pieces of equipment, like that experience share. It's all leading us down this path of like how to work inside of the risk that we willingly subject ourselves to day in and day out. So that's why we changed it to that. So that's half my job is the risk management. So right, that's all the like paperwork and the compliance, but it's all
Standard operating procedures.
Yeah, so
writing those.
right. So the like push your glasses up your nose, like it's real fun, like super nerd, right? It's not my favorite part of the job. So that's my Monday unless it's a really nice day and I can't stand being inside anymore. And then the rest of the week, I'm out working with our teams. And basically, so then that's where the academy steps in. We've created, in 2017, our owner saw that there was this lack of formal like education for arborists, right? I'm pretty sure that's part of why y'all kind of came to the conclusion you did as well. Right? There's not a whole, right? There's great organizations that are out there that are providing awesome training, but it's not readily accessible.
There's not
everywhere.
enough of them.
Right? There's not. So in 2017, the academy was kind of born in theory, and over the last 5 years, we've worked on formalizing it more to where now it's a 3.5-year working apprenticeship program. So
that's awesome.
An employee gets hired on full time, and then they're enrolled in our academy, where basically the next 3.5 years is completely mapped out for them of like, this is what we expect. Your pay is tied to these certifications. At the end of it, you're going to come out being able to do basically anything and everything we do in Richmond, but have these list of credentials to go along with it. So in the event, we hope you don't leave, but if you do leave, you can literally go anywhere in the world. Yeah, you can go anywhere in the world and have a job, and not just a job. Like
man.
you can have a well-paying, like you've now made a career.
How many people have graduated? Because 2018, so you should be having them. Has anybody graduated yet?
Yeah,
or?
so I think in total we've had 12 graduates.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Are they still with you?
Half of them are.
Half there.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
But like I always say, is what you taught. You just made the industry that much better because they just took everything from your company and they just planted into a new company. And they're like, no, let me teach you how we did it.
Absolutely.
Let me teach you how you did it. And you're spreading that and elevating that standard.
100%. Like, I mean, that's the whole philosophy. Is we're trying to inspire the next generation of arborists to come up and just take it over and make it better than it ever was for us when we started. That's it. Like,
and you have to start kind of like we all did, Phil. You have to start preaching in your own home, with your own people in your own town, your own company, you know. I mean, I started with the 2 guys I hired off of Home Depot. I don't know, like that's what it was. It turned into having a contract with U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. And then I'm not caring who went, because the professionalism distinguishes, and it's across borders and culture and everything. And the more professional you are, the better it is. So it's like that good old saying, teach them to stay, but if they don't, at least you send them qualified.
Well, and that's the other thing. The people that have like come through and haven't like graduated, like when an employee leaves, we always ask him, do you feel like you grew here? Like, do you feel like you are leaving better, stronger, more knowledgeable than when you started? And that's whether they I mean, we all want them to graduate, but like really what we want more is to know that they grew, right? So even if they don't,
That's probably
even
a
if they
yes
don't,
all the time.
yeah, even if they don't stay for the whole time or whatever, like if
Yeah.
they grew and say they've got like some life opportunity that they just can't turn down,
Yeah.
like we're stoked on that
Yeah,
too. Like
yeah.
you want to go live in New Zealand? Hell yeah, go live in New Zealand.
You have to
But
be
now-
as an employer to
Right.
do that.
But now you have this skill set that you've learned at least up to this point that you at least can go to New Zealand and say, hey, I know how to do this and I can do this for you.
Yeah.
Right? They have that foundation built, right? They've got that strong skill
That's
set,
awesome.
that way of thinking.
They're
that then
carrying your
allows them-
legacy
Yeah.
as a trainer for you, as the company for the company. Like it's still marketing, it's still promoting.
Yeah.
They got trained here. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, it's just like even if you look at it the business side of things,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
you're still putting your name out there. You're leaving a piece of yourself with someone. You know.
And that, yeah, I mean, that's all true, right? Like it
Yeah.
does, like it's nice for the brand, right? It helps
Yeah.
helps put it out there. I always struggle with thinking about that side of it because I'm just like, oh, you're, Timmy True, like you're whatever over here. Like I want you to be better today. Like how did you grow today compared to yesterday? Like, I climbed with you yesterday. You weren't using a friction saver, right? Then I
Yeah.
made you use a friction saver. Like, was that impactful?
Yeah.
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
it was impactful,
I
right?
feel
Like
like-
these little incremental things.
Well, I feel like the work that we do should be tied with making the world better,
Oh,
at
yeah.
some point, and at doing something. So you're training people, you're helping them be better economically for their family, be better for themselves, helping the world, trimming trees. I mean, it's an incredible thing to do and
Yeah.
sleep good at night, And I know Phil Olit maybe give you a little bit more information on this next question, but if there's a message you can give to the arborist out there, to the industry, they're gonna listen to this podcast at
Yeah.
any time of the day.
Yeah,
It might be a guy going tired after being beat up from just work every day and
Yeah.
like sitting in his truck at the end of the day, not knowing whether to go home inside the house and completely hang those spikes and be like, fuck this, like I'm out, or the new person,
Yeah.
they say this about the gospel, Phil. There's people that hear it for the first time or the last time. You might be hearing us life-saving words
That's good.
right now,
That's good.
or you might die tomorrow and you might have heard a gospel
Right.
and something you can change today while you're still alive
Right.
for the last time.
Right.
What would be those words from you, Jeff?
Yeah, so again, if we go back to Rob Springer, he put this Tom Waits quote in my head like 11 years ago. It's the way you do anything is the way you do everything, right?
I love that.
That
saying.
that
Heard
has
it before.
applied, right? It's so powerful. At least it's been incredibly powerful in my own life, right? If I think about my competitive tree climbing career, when I think about like, do I really want to wake up at 5 a.m. to do a bunch of push-ups and go for a run to make sure I'm in like peak physical shape so I can stay competitive? Well, if I don't, then I'm not going to have those in-game successes, right? If I'm not wearing a helmet at work, then I'm going to have probably a really bad head injury later, right? Like if I'm not prioritizing wearing that helmet the same way every time, every day, it's not going to be that second nature, right? Or if it's with my family, like if I'm not prioritizing spending time with my family, loving on my wife and my children, like that's going to slip through the cracks. It's going to get put on the back burner, right? It's that whole thing. Like the way you do anything is the way you do everything.
That was the best quote I heard all weekend.
Hell yeah.
That was the best
Yeah.
nugget there.
Yeah.
Guys, that
Right on.
you're listening right now, share this with somebody, post it, share it. The way you do anything is the way you do everything.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Rob Springs and Mr. Jeff, for sharing that with myself, because that I won't forget that one. That was a good
Word.
one for that. So, man, hey, I appreciate you being on the show
Yeah,
today.
man.
Yeah,
Thanks
and
for this.
when you come to California, we're gonna have a show.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you going to be
So-
out there for the show coming up there in July? There's a show coming up, right?
I didn't I just found out that there's going to be one on the West Coast. So
The
see what I can do.
Treetopia.
We that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's Treetopia.
Treetopia.
Okay. Right on.
For
Okay.
that in July, right by us. So you have to come out a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Come be on the show. Come have some fun with us out
Hell yeah.
there.
Check out the facility. I know you're doing all the safety and training. Maybe you can take some ideas. One thing that me and Phil and all the crew is always about is being able to share, you know, what you're doing, what we can do to help you, what ideas even we can take for our students. And I think it'd be great. And we also thank you for being on here.
Yeah. No, and I mean, same to y'all. Like if you ever want to come check out what we're doing in Richmond, you're more than welcome.
We'd love that. We'd love that. So everybody, appreciate everybody listening today. And remember, continue elevating that standard and through education, training, and innovation. We appreciate everybody. Be safe out there. See ya.
Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.